All right. Well, it was an active day today throughout the state of South Carolina. I even got some rainfall at my house. For today. And so, that is indeed, which I'm gonna, well, I'll wait. I'll wait on that. Actually, I'll wait. I'll wait till the end. But I did get some rainfall at my house today, mainly around like 3 o'clock or so. Pretty big storm that came through. And so hopefully we all got some beneficial rainfall today because obviously we are still inside of a drought. Drought monitor does come out on Thursday. Reminder for that. And so what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, obviously we will talk about our isolated to scattered showers and thunderstorms possible. Then mostly dry as we move into the overnight hours. Typical summer pattern with heat indices potentially reaching 100 to 105, if not greater, as we move into the next couple of days. And then we continue to see that scattered diurnal convection. A wheat front may increase coverage late week, but for the most part, maybe some relief from the huge amounts of rainfall this week, or like the more scattered rainfall. And also from the just temperatures being so hot as well. And then warm and humid with daily shower and thunderstorm chances as we move into next week. Now, what is currently going on? Well, right now, there is indeed nothing going on right now throughout the entire state of South Carolina. But if we go in and scroll our way out, see what's going on throughout the entire U.S., we do have some rainfall going on throughout the north central U.S., especially as a tornado watch is going on up there. We have some severe storms moving on through there. We have some rainfall with some more severe storms in Indianapolis, going on in Indiana, just in general. Rainfall from Tennessee to Alabama to Georgia, West Virginia, and even Pennsylvania. And then some snowfall. Yes, snow is still going on, even in June, over here in Montana, Wyoming. Now, as we move on to our cloud cover right now is definitely going on. We see it from the upstate. We see it inside of the Midlands, the Low Country, the Grand Cheyenne areas. Yes, cloud cover is still going on. There is no question about it. But as we move into our future in terms of that cloud cover, what do we see here? We see cloud cover activity that goes on statewide as we move into tomorrow morning. And then as we move into tomorrow afternoon, going into tomorrow night, cloud cover activity still stays with us, even as we move into tomorrow night, going into Friday morning, or Thursday morning, excuse me. We still see some more cloud cover starting to build statewide. So cloud cover is not going to be leaving anytime soon. I mean, that's not negotiable at this point. Cloud cover is going to be with us. Now, for our current temperatures going into the entire state, we're talking about 77 in Summerville, Charleston, 78, Beaufort, 80, Orangeburg, 75 in Georgetown, as well as 76 in Murrells Inlet and Myrtle Beach, 82 in Columbia, as well as 79 in Sumter, 78 in Florence, and 79 in Lancaster, 75 Lawrence, 73 Greenville, 74 Spartanburg, Gaffney, and Anderson. Now for our air quality for tonight, we're talking about some good old yellows going on, and we've been seeing this moderate risk of air quality pretty much throughout the entire state as we move into the past couple of days. But we have had some good areas. You see the areas that are not in yellow, those are the good areas. Those are the areas that you want to be in, because obviously the air quality is the best, but obviously we know that not everybody can be inside the green and good at all times. If you're in the yellow, just make sure that you're watching out for any sort of bad air quality for tonight if you're out there for a long period of time tonight. Now for our low temperatures for tonight, we're looking at around 68 in Greenville, 67 in Spartanburg, as well as 72 in Columbia, 71 in Orangeburg, as well as 70 in Moncks Corner, 75 Charleston, 77 in Hilton Head Island, as well as 72 in Georgetown, 74 in Myrtle Beach, and 70 inside of Dillon. Now, if you go into our high temperatures for tomorrow, we're talking about 86 in Greenville and Spartanburg, 88 in Rock Hill, 93 in Columbia, and even a good 92 inside of Moncks Corner. We have 88 inside of Hilton Head Island, 89 Charleston, 90 inside of Georgetown. Now, as we go on and take a look at our heat index values as we go into tomorrow, we're looking at right now heat index values around the mid to upper 90s, so not the worst. Kind of accurate to what we may see in terms of actual temperatures for tomorrow. Kind of close, but obviously we know that these feel like temperatures, some may be a bit more, some may be a bit less. Obviously, this is tomorrow, so things will obviously adjust. But another thing I do want to show you, this is our max heat index values as we go throughout the next 3 days. And when I say in the forecast that summer is really about to flex its muscle, this is what I'm talking about. We see as we move throughout the next 3 days, this goes all the way from Tuesday 8 p.m. to Friday at 8 p.m. I think most of these are for Friday. Friday, we're going to be looking at heat index values up to 100, almost statewide. 100 in Greenville, 106 in Columbia, Orangeburg, 103 in Moncks Corner, 106 in Charleston, 106 in Hilton Head Island, 99 in Myrtle Beach. And so it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, you're going to be seeing high 90s, if not even some mid to upper 100s. And as we move more and more into next week, and I think that mainly is going to be on Friday going into the weekend, because that's when our hottest time period is going to be. So make sure that if you are outside doing any sort of yard work, no matter what you're doing, you're drinking water, being hydrated, you're taking breaks, all of that needs to be accounted for as you move throughout the next 3 or 4 or 5 days or so, because it really is about to get hot. Now, if we go into rainfall wise, we're not seeing too much either in terms of accumulation. You're talking about a hundredth of an inch to a tenth of an inch that goes on for portions of the Midlands, for a little bit of the coastal low country, but mainly in that upstate area is where we're looking at around that hundredth of an inch to a tenth of an inch. And some areas may even see around a tenth of an inch, all the way up to an inch of rainfall. So, seemed like Greenville and Spartanburg seem to be around that tenth of an inch to a quarter of an inch ring or so. Other areas, quarter of an inch, half an inch, inch. SPC outlook for tonight, thunderstorms are still possible, But as we move into Wednesday, same thing. As we move into Wednesday, June the 10th, we have some thunderstorm activity going on up there in the upstate potentially tomorrow, Midlands potentially tomorrow, PD areas. And then as we move into Thursday, everybody has a chance for a thunderstorm on Thursday as everybody's in the light green area. Now, for fire weather, we're not seeing anything in terms of fire weather, so I believe that we are good there. But excessive rainfall-wise, that's where things start to get a little bit interesting because now we have this risk of scattered flash flooding here in the yellow in the upstate that's still going on. And in fact, is it raining right now throughout South Carolina? If you remember, I said no. So I think that this slight risk right here is mainly over, but we saw a good amount of flooding as we went into this afternoon. In fact, as I went over the forecast this morning, I believe we had a flood advisory going on, and there still is a flood advisory right now over there until 9:15. It's only a little bit, but South Central Greenwood counties in the upstate, an inch of rain has already fallen, and expect imminent or already occurring nuisance flooding to continue. So, I mean, we are still seeing flooding right now as we speak, but even inside the green, we still are inside of that isolated flash flooding risk. In fact, that flood advisory is inside of the green. It's not in the yellow, it's in the green. So that just tells you to take every risk seriously, no matter if it's 5%, 2%, 1%, 0.1%, it doesn't matter. And speaking of 5%, tomorrow, going into Thursday morning, we have a marginal risk of severe weather. Isolated flash flooding is back on the table for the upstate, going on over into the more Rock Hill areas up towards Charlotte. Now, past there, we're not seeing anything for day 3, day 4, or day 5, so we're good for Thursday going into Saturday. Now, for the crazy score, we're at a 35. Yes, we're at a 35. Why? Well, it's pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. Noticeable rainfall could still occur as we go into tonight, even though things are really starting to calm down. And in fact, there is no rainfall right now. But model-wise, I mean, we're still thinking that there could potentially still be some shower activity as we move late into tonight. Will that happen? Only time will tell, but for right now, models still say that showers are still possible tonight. Now, as we go into the models, speaking of them, make sure that you pay attention to the time at the bottom part of your screen, because if you do not pay attention, there's a good chance that you may go on and lose track. And we don't want anybody losing track of where we are, because these are very important. Very, very important. We start off here at 9 o'clock p.m., and just as we go on and push this forward more and more, as we move over to around 2 o'clock in the morning, going all the way to 5 to 7, 8, 9 a.m. or so, we see no rainfall. I mean, you're not seeing a single drop of rainfall statewide as we move into tomorrow morning. Watch as you move into the afternoon, though. Things start to change. You start to see more shower activity starting to pop up as we go more into the afternoon hours. That's expected. Watch up there in the upstate, up there near North Carolina. We were talking about this yesterday, about how an area of thunderstorms may try to move in from North Carolina down to South Carolina tomorrow afternoon. And that could potentially bring in some more thunderstorm activity in the upstate. And not only that, but look at the sea breeze going on over there near the low country areas, over near the Grand Strand areas, that bring in more shower and more moisture into these more coastal, more inland coastal areas as you move into the evening hours. Things do calm down as you move into the nighttime hours, as summer usually does. Summer usually goes on and just brings in that rainfall activity during the day and kind of just chills out at night, and that's what it seemed like it's doing again right here. But watch as we move into Tuesday afternoon. You don't see anything Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning looks beautiful. Maybe some cloud cover, but nothing too bad. But then Tuesday afternoon comes along, or Thursday afternoon, excuse me. Thursday afternoon comes along, and you're not seeing any sort of rainfall activity in the morning hours, afternoon. you finally start to see it start to go on. Now, as we move into the long-term futures, as we move into Thursday here at 2 p.m., where we just ended off at, you don't see too much in terms of rainfall activity. Friday comes along, Saturday comes along. You see some rainfall here and there, but I'm not seeing anything too bad. Definitely some beneficial rainfall, though. Definitely some beneficial rainfall. But as we move into Sunday, Sunday comes along, some more beneficial rainfall on the table. It's going to be an active weekend for us. Make sure that you are prepared for rainfall this weekend. But watch as we move into Monday, going into Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Things start to be on the uptrend as we have a cold front. Yes, cold front trying to move through as we go into Wednesday, going on over into Thursday. That could really bring us some good rainfall activity, maybe even some flooding as we move into next week, midweek. So we'll see what that brings for us next week. But for right now, we may be looking at a good amount of active activity, maybe some flooding activity. Now, as you move into Thursday of next week, going into the weekend or so, still seeing a bunch of beneficial rainfall, a bunch. And then as we go all the way into the week after next week, past not this weekend, but the weekend after, we still are kind of just in the air right now in terms of what's going to happen, just because it's 300 plus hours out, but it still looks active. It doesn't matter how far out in the June you go, it looks active on the GFS. And, we're just going to shy over to the European model. We usually don't show the European model much, but we're going to show it tonight. And honestly, that's because the European model doesn't really show too much as we go into this week, but watch as we move more and more into this weekend. I mean, you don't really see too much this weekend either, according to the Euro. But watch as we get more into Monday, more into Tuesday, more into Wednesday. The European model also shows this front as we go into next week. And then as we move into next weekend, going into the week after, still a whole bunch of rainfall comes in, a whole bunch of beneficial rainfall comes in. So both seems to kind of get more active as we get more into the week after next week. Now, how much rainfall are we expected to see? Well, according to the GFS, this is the GFS ensemble. It shows around a good maybe 2 inches to around a good 2.5 inches, maybe even up to around 3 inches at the max statewide on a 384-hour scale. So not the most, but definitely beneficial enough to help try and take down this drought just a little bit. Now, if we want to take a look at the European model kind of has us around 1.5 inches, maybe trying to get us towards 2 inches or so. So both kind of show us at a pretty lower rate than what we usually have been seeing for the past couple of weeks. But this does show us on a little bit of a lower scale according to the European. European doesn't think we're going to get like as much rain as the GEFS was thinking, maybe around like 1.5 inches to around 2.5 inches, but not quite that 2 to 3 inch margin. Now, if we go in and take a look at our temperatures, we're going to start off here tonight going into tomorrow. And just as we get into tomorrow, look at how these temperatures are going to start to increase more and more. We're talking about 9 to 10 degrees above average as we move into Wednesday. Again, 9 to 10 degrees above average as we move into Wednesday tomorrow. We move into Thursday, going into Friday, and look at how much warmer it gets. Summer is about to flex its muscles. This is what I'm talking about. You're talking about 10, 15, in some spots, maybe even higher than that, degrees above average at this point. And then if we go all the way into the weekend, we're still seeing 15, 20 degrees above average. We're still seeing that on Sunday, going into Monday. But remember that front that we were just talking about not too long ago. Remember that front that's going to come in and bring those temperatures down later next week. That's going to bring in some more cooler conditions around 5 to 10 degrees below average on the opposite side of that warmer air that we have been seeing. So a huge flip's going to occur as we go into next week. But as we move into Thursday and Friday, so later parts of next week, that battle zone between cooler air and warmer air continues. And you start to see this flip of the stereotypical South Carolina weather to where we're seeing, well, where it's warm one day, cooler the other day. Not quite on that scale, but it's kind of like a warm during the day and the cooler during the night. You remember that time period where we had like 50s for lows, but then we had like 80s close to 90s for highs? That situation may be trying to come back as we go more and more into next week. And then as we go more into the week after next week, another cooler air setup could be trying to pop up as we go into the week after next week, bringing in some cooler conditions. Now, what's going on in terms of our actual temperatures. We move later into Wednesday. We're seeing some 80s, some 90s come along. We're seeing some higher 90s, and then we may even see some actual temperatures of 100 as we move into around Friday, going into Saturday or so. Then as we go all the way into Saturday, going into Sunday, what do we see? More higher 90s, more like less 100s or so, or like very, very low 100s or so. We go all the way into Monday, going into Tuesday and Wednesday. Though that cooler air starts to move in on Wednesday, that's going to bring in maybe some 70s in some spots for highs, maybe some 80s in some spots for highs, but not 90s, not 100s. That's not what you're going to see. You're going to just see some more 80s moving in. You go into Thursday, going into Friday of next week, and I think that's probably where we should start pulling up the GEFS, the ensembles, just because this is where things start to get a little bit uncertain, just a little bit out of the ordinary. But if taking a look at it, you still see 90s as we move post-front. We even see some higher 90s starting to get into effect here. So the fact that the ensembles are kind of showing that we're going to be around the 90s or so, like mid-90s, the GEFS, the ensembles, that's a pretty good sign right there that we could be seeing some of these warmer temperatures really starting to get going. And, I'm talking about warm temperatures, not like some 80s or something like that. I'm talking about like 90s, high 90s or so. And, it almost looks almost daily at this point. Now, the one thing that I will say about the GEFS is that it's not really too phased because it's an average-based model. It's an average-based model, so you really can't really look at it for like cold fronts and stuff like that because it takes a bunch of models put together. Obviously, models are going to be different. Some are going to show strong cold fronts. Some are going to show no front at all. So that's why if you really want to look at like a pattern shift, you really want to maybe try and look at a deterministic. But if you're looking far out into the future, then at that point, the ensemble would probably be the better option for you. But one more thing I want to look at real quick is look at these more lower temperatures. I'm trying to find where it is, but I guess I have to go back real quick. The GFS real quick is when I was talking about some of those lower temperatures coming. Look at these low temperatures as we move into look at these low temperatures as we move into Tuesday. And then that front moves through going into Wednesday. Tuesday night of next week, you're seeing low temperatures down to the 70s. And, you still see some 80s by 2 o'clock in the morning in some spots. But watch as you move into Wednesday. You're seeing down into the 60s once again up there in the upstate. And then guess what? Those highs are going to be back up into the 80s and 90s. But then those low temperatures, what do you see? Dropping back down into the 60s once again. High temperatures trying to get us back up into the 90s or so. Some areas maybe not as much. But that's pretty much all I have to say here for the models. We're not seeing anything out of the ordinary there, except for summer is really about to flex its muscles. And so that's pretty much where I close my soliloquy there of what I mean by this title of summer is really about to flex its muscles here. Now, nothing's going on in terms of hurricane season right now. There is still no tropical cyclone activity that is expected during the next 7 days. So we're not expecting anything here. So let's go on now and talk with the audience. If you want to be a part of the audience, you can by joining us here at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Let's see what the audience has to say for tonight. That is not what I meant to click, but don't worry. Give me about 2 seconds here. There we go. All right. Let's start off with my Aunt Lulu, who was here first tonight. She says, "Good evening, everyone. I pray that everyone had a marvelous day." Well, in Georgetown, we did have a great day. Well, I am glad to hear that. Mr. Daniel says, "Good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. My name is Hello Jay, and and the Bloodsport family have really missed you all." Well, thank you so much for that. I'm glad to hear, number one. Or hopefully, I'm glad to hear that you had a great day today, and they do miss you as well. Continuing down, Maya Lewis says today's high was around 83. With the humidity, it felt like 96. Currently, it's around 76 degrees. Well, at my house, currently right now, is around a good 78. And the high temperature for today was around 89, close to 90. Actually, it rounds up to 90. So we're going to say 90 degrees for today was my high temperature. And we did get some rainfall today. And I'm going to make that the top fan question of the night for tonight. I'm going to make that the top fan question of the night for tonight. If you can guess and see how much rainfall I received at my house for today, you will go on and receive top fan of the night for tonight. I know, it could be a huge margin. So, if I see that, I may give some hints later on in saying, who's the closest, because obviously you can go all the way from 0.01 inches all the way up to around 5 inches of rainfall. But no, I did not get up to 5 inches of rainfall. That's a bit too much right there. But that's the question. If you can guess how much rainfall I received at my house today, you will be receiving top fan of the night for tonight. Mr. Daniel says, very hot in Islandton today. I hope I said that correctly. Well, thank you so much for that weather report for where you are. Mount Lewis says, early morning and throughout the day, we had cloud cover. Then Mr. Chris says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. We had some thunderstorms here in Moncks Corner. Got to around 92 here. Currently, it's around 77. Well, thank you so much for that weather report for where you are over there. Mr. Daniel says it was a hot day today. Mr. Chris says felt like that today. Thad says, good evening, just from the 360 Weather family. Good evening to you. I trust all is well with you all. It was a beautiful day here in San Antonio. We had a high of around 91, which was pleasantly nice. Mount Lewis says, I know that it's going to get hotter, so I'm ready for it. My car AC went out. However, I had someone to repair it. Had no rainfall today. Well, I'm glad that you were able to go on and get someone to go on and replace that and repair it for you. Mr. Chris says, please remember to go and hit the like button and the subscribe button. Also share with everyone that you know. It's that time of the year that we're going to start getting active, and he's absolutely correct. We've had 18 people tune in tonight, and we only have 10 likes. If you are a part of that group of 8 that have not hit the like button yet, go in and do so. It's free. Then Thad says, we are on a high after our Spurs win into MSG and squeezed out a win over the Knicks. Go Spurs, go. Well, let me go in and give you all a round of applause over that. Trail says, greetings, everyone. Greetings to you. Thad says, we did get some rain yesterday, which was enough to wet the lawn. Mr. Chris says, with that flip of temperatures, will that cause severe weather? We have the front that's coming in on Wednesday. So, yeah, technically, we have severe weather that's going on to our north and to our north and west, but not quite near us. But yeah, we may have to watch out for some severe weather next week as that front does move through. You will see if we'll have the ingredients for it. I guess we'll check that out going into tomorrow and the next couple of days, seeing what Wednesday might bring, and also the timing of the cold front as well, because obviously the cold front is not tied down to just Wednesday. Mr. Anthony says, good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. And then Mr. Chris says 0.12, and Thad says 0.22. Those are very good guesses, but it is neither. But I will give you a hint. It is in between. It is in between both of those numbers, 0.12 and 0.22. It is in between those numbers, so that's a 0.10 margin that you have right there. But before we get back to that, let's go in and talk about the 4 areas outside of South Carolina. You might be asking, 4 areas? What am I talking about? I'm talking about San Antonio, Texas, Raleigh, North Carolina, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, as well as Duncan, Oklahoma. The reason why we talk about these 4 areas is because we have people from these areas who tune in almost nightly, and because they tune in almost nightly, we go on and give them their forecast for them. Starting off with San Antonio, you have low temperatures tonight at 75, high temperature for tomorrow at 93, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 77. There is a slight chance of thunderstorms tonight, but tomorrow, there's another slight chance of storms going in as you go into tomorrow during the day. Tomorrow night, though, no precipitation is expected at this time. Now, what about in terms of severe weather? Severe weather, excessive rainfall, not in the forecast for you at all. So you're good there. And then for your future, temperature-wise, going to continue to be up into the 90s even as you move into next week. Rainfall-wise, you'll have some rainfall going into Wednesday, going into Friday, Saturday. But then as you go into like Thursday, for example. Thursday, you have a little bit of a break, but every other day, it looks like rainfall will be expected for you. So make sure that you are aware and make sure that you have any rain gear that you need present with you as you move throughout pretty much all throughout next week, this week going into next week. Then for Raleigh, North Carolina, you have low temperatures tonight going into around 70 tonight, high temperature for tomorrow, 93. Low temperatures tomorrow night at 73. There's a chance of thunderstorms tomorrow and tomorrow night. But in terms of your severe weather and excessive rainfall, nothing is expected there. Now, in terms of rainfall is definitely possible going into tomorrow. You have that chance of storms there tomorrow night as well. Nothing tonight. But one thing I will say is that you have a chance of rainfall pretty much almost every single day from Wednesday going all the way into next week. And not only that, but it will be hot. It will be blazing hot. In fact, your high temperature on Friday is 100 on the dot. That's not even including wind to it, or not wind, heat index. That's not even including heat index at all. So the fact that it's already 100, I mean that the heat index could potentially be even higher than that. And on Thursday, 99, heat index of 103. Tomorrow, 93, heat index of 100. So, whatever the temperature is going to be for you, you might as well add another 5 to 7 degrees or so, just because the heat index is really going to be pushing it up a lot. Now, if we go and take a look at Philadelphia, you have low temperatures tonight at 64. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me check out these real quick. Before I usually go on and do this, I usually call out and see. I see 0.15, 0.18, and 0.21. One of those answers are correct. Which one is it? Let's go in and find out. Oh, my thing's muted. There we go. All right, let's go and back this up. It was Mr. Chris that got it. 0.15 was the correct answer. Congratulations to you for getting the top fan of the night for tonight. See, you've been trying to get your way back into the mix. You weren't here for a little bit, and now you're trying to get yourself back into the win column. That's 2 wins in a row for you for both nights. The night that you came back yesterday, and then also tonight as well. So 2 in a row, win streak. We'll see if anybody will break it tomorrow, if you will continue again tomorrow night. But back over to Philadelphia. Low temperatures tonight at 64, high temperature for tomorrow at 86, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 72. No precipitation tonight, but tomorrow there's a chance of thunderstorms as you go into tomorrow and tomorrow night once again. Severe weather and excessive rainfall. Severe weather is your main area of concern Wednesday, June the 10th. Marginal risk of severe weather. And then on Thursday, another marginal risk of severe weather. On Friday, a slight risk of severe weather. So you're very included in severe weather. In fact, your risk for tomorrow, we'll get into the risk for Thursday and Friday as we get closer. But for Wednesday, mainly looking at damaging winds and damaging hail being your main threat. No tornado threat is really there. No excessive rainfall for you. So for your future, rainfall-wise, it's going to continue to be kind of active as you move into like Friday. But then once you move into the weekend, things start to calm down. But then once you get back into the work week next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, things start to get back active. Temperature-wise, you're going to also be up into the 90s once again. So you're not really going to be too much in the 80s for too long. This is kind of like your last day in the 80s for now. Then finally, for Duncan, Oklahoma, you have low temperatures tonight at 76, high temperature for tomorrow at 94, and then low temperatures tomorrow night at 78. No precipitation tonight or tomorrow, but Thursday, going into Friday, you have that chance of rainfall there. Now, severe weather is definitely possible for you on Thursday. Speaking of, mainly Thursday night is when you're looking at that risk of thunderstorms, severe weather activity, and excessive rainfall Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Isolated flash flooding for you is expected, so make sure that you're aware of there. Temperature-wise, you're going to continue to be up into the 90s even as you move into next week. 80s as you go into around Monday or so. So things will kind of calm down, go a bit on a decline as we go into next week. But 90s stay for us as we move more and more into Saturday and Sunday. And then in terms of rainfall for you, rainfall will continue to be active just as you move all the way through into Friday, going into Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So rainfall will be active for you. And that's all they have to say there. So what's going on throughout the entire U.S. weather news-wise? Well, numerous severe thunderstorms for the potential of 60 to 80 miles per hour winds along with tornadoes and large to very large hail are expected across the northern and the central plains through tonight. Heavy to excessive rainfall may also bring a flooding threat to parts of North Dakota and Minnesota and from the Ohio Valley to the southeast through tonight. All of that is going on. Heat going on all the way from North Dakota, Minnesota, going on in Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, even up there in New York City, it is hot. Hot. California, it's hot. Fire weather going on over there in the Four Corners area, going on inside of Nebraska. High wind going on in Montana, going up into Washington State. Some frost going on. Even some freezing conditions going on inside of Oregon as we speak right now. So, a lot of things right now are kind of changing up as we move more and more into the next couple of days. And it's just going to be all over the place. All over the place. But that's pretty much all that I have to say in terms of tonight. Make sure if you have not hit the like button yet or the subscribe button yet, go on and do so. I had nothing in my email for tonight. So if you want to go on and send me an email, you can by sending it to scweather360@gmail.com. Again, that is scweather360@gmail.com. Or you can at me on Twitter or Instagram at 360_weather. Again, that is 360_weather. But that's all that I can see here. Make sure that you have a fantastic rest of your Tuesday evening. And I'll be back tomorrow morning with your Wednesday morning forecast update or Wednesday afternoon. And then also for tomorrow evening for your Wednesday evening forecast update. We'll be halfway through the week. Let's go on and get there. Hit those two buttons before you leave if you are new.